Hi, it's Roy with Delphi. Do you find it difficult to operate or schedule your kiln controller? Do you find it frustrating or confusing sometimes? Well, continue to watch this video because we're going to talk about a variety of different kiln controllers, and we're going to get you operating your kiln just like a pro. Let me tell you about this controller that's on this Evenheat Kiln. First of all, I just want to give you a little basic anatomy of what a kiln is like, right? So when I open up this particular kiln, this is made by Evenheat. It's called the Studio STP Pro 8. So 8-inch kiln. This is where you would put your shelf, right? So come in here with your kiln shelf, you'd set it here. What's nice about this kiln is the lid also opens. So we can open up like this. Heating elements are in the body here or in the side of the kiln, and that's how it's going to heat up. The top, if you can see that, it's got a little viewing window, which is sort of nice. So while the kiln is running, you can always kind of peek in there and see how your project's doing. On this Evenheat kiln, though, is this Icon controller. Now, the one thing I think it's important to know is that the kiln manufacturers don't actually make the controllers. So there's a couple of companies out there that make controllers. This particular one is made by Bartlett, and it is a nice touchscreen controller. I think for the most part it's pretty intuitive, but let me show you some of the great features of this controller. If you can see, we're plugged in and power is on. This button here is the button that turns power on and off. I have this on, and the controller is showing us at the moment. So what the controller is always going to do is show us the temperature inside the kiln. So obviously in this situation, it should be the temperature in the room. So we're seeing here, it says 69 degrees. What is on here are a few buttons here. You'll see that at the top it says idle. I get this question asked a lot of times. Idle just means the kiln isn't running at the moment. I know when there's power on, sometimes that confuses people and they think, oh, the kiln is running, but it's not. There's just power to the controller so we can see what's going on. We have here our three buttons. There's a menu button, a fire button, and a history button. Now, what people find confusing is this fire button, right? So when they touch it, they think the kiln is going to automatically start firing and turning on, but it's actually not true. This is what you want to think of it like when you want to start your kiln, when you want to start firing it, you push the fire button. The menu button just has some diagnostic stuff in here, so you can look at like how it's been performing, a variety of different things. History, I think that seems pretty obvious. It does keep track of your firing schedules. So if you're wondering like, oh, what did I run yesterday? You know, what program did I run yesterday? You can hit the history button and it will run down and show you the various ones that you did. To get back, a lot of times you'll see this arrow up here in the upper right-hand corner. You just touch that and it just takes you back to the next screen. So let's see the fire button, because that's probably the one you're going to use more than anything. And this is where we would schedule a program. This is where we would use one of the pre-programs that are in here, which is nice. So when we hit fire, we have three options. We have glass, custom, and library. So library is, it's already some programs in there. So here's another thing I think it's really important to know. When you're buying a kiln with a controller, that's a glass kiln, right? A lot of times the controllers are really made for any type of kiln. So you often will get some programs in there that maybe not be you'll ever use. And that's the situation here on this library one. There's a PMC for doing silver clay, if you're familiar with that technique. There's also heat treating, I guess if you're making knives or something and you need to heat the metal. Again, probably not something we're going to be using. So let's concentrate on the two that we are going to use. We're probably going to use glass or custom. Now, what's nice about glass is it is already pre-programmed. So if you're not sure what you need to do or how to program your kiln and you just want to start using it, here are some options for us. So once we hit that, it gives us the options of slumping, right, where we get put the glass on a ceramic form. We get it soft enough so it takes on the shape of that form. We also have a tack fuse. That's where when we fuse, the glass is really quite textured on the surface still, so it's not real smooth. There's a lot of texture. There's a full fuse. We use the term full fuse, meaning when we fuse something, we want everything to be really nice and smooth and there's no texture whatsoever. If we use these arrows on the side, it's going to show us some other options. So there's that full fuse. There's casting. So if you're doing jewelry work or you have those ceramic molds, I guess any kind of shape, right, and you need to cast into that, there's a program specific for that. And that's it, right? So for this one at the moment, there's those four. But let me do the full fuse one real quick so you guys can see what that's like. So I hit full fuse because that's what I want to use. Then I need to hit this arrow. That takes me to the next screen. And what you're going to see here on the next screen is it's giving me some options. It's asking me how fast do I want to fire my glass. And they're giving me fast, medium, medium, slow. I think there's some other options in here. Yep, slow. So let's just do medium. Speed has to do with the size of the piece you're doing. So when you're going with smaller pieces, you can go a little faster. The bigger you go, you have to go slower, so you minimize the risk of thermal shock, right? If we heat glass too quickly, it's going to crack. So if you're not sure, medium's a pretty safe way to go, so that's what I picked. So then we're going to go to the next screen, and it's asking me which glass I'm using. So again, if you're familiar with fusing, there are different types of expansion rates to the glass, and we refer to the glass by those numbers, right? Maybe you've heard that, 96 or 90 glass. We often use the acronym COE behind that. So 96 COE stands for, the COE stands for coefficient of expansion. Sometimes people will say it's a 90 Co glass, right? COE. Either way, I usually just use the numbers and call it 90, 96, but I have options. Oh, you might notice the third one, right? 82. So what's that? Some people fuse with float glass, you know, like regular window glass. I can tell you that window glass isn't manufactured to have a specific COE, but for the most part, it's in the 82 to 84 range, so that should work pretty good if you're playing around with some window glass. I'm going to pick 90 here. Again, if you'll notice, a little check mark goes there, and now it gives me an option to continue going forward. So here it's going to run down and tell me everything that I picked. So it's really nice when you see this screen, because in case you're not sure, right, or you want to make sure you got the exact thing. So it's telling me I'm going to do a full fuse for 90 COE glass. I'm going to do medium speed. And so it's got an automatic hold time on there, and it's telling me what temperature it's going to go to. So perfect, right? Now if you'll notice, this little button down here, the start button, lights up green. So it's ready for me to start it. I could hit the schedule button, and it would just show me exactly what the schedule is going to do. So if you want that information, it's there. But I'm just going to start it. I want to show you how easy it is to start. So I hit it, it asks me once again, do you want to start it? It's just one of those little safety things, right? So you don't accidentally start your kiln. You actually have to hit the start 2 times. And then there it goes. So you can hear this particular kiln turn on, right? That little buzzing noise is the kiln turning on. If you're not familiar with how kilns work, it's pretty simple. The heating element is inside the body here. Electricity goes to the heating element. The heating element gets hot, right? So what the controller does is control how it turns on and turns off the heating element. And so you might hear that clicking noise, right? That's the kiln turning on and off as it tries to go whatever speed it's regulated at, or to whatever temperature we programmed it to. We do have an ability to adjust it. There's a stop button here, so if something you don't think something's going right, just stop it. The adjust button, I can go in and skip the step. So if you had several different segments in your firing schedule, that gives you an option. I'm just going to let it run, so I'm just going to go back to the normal schedule. If you'll notice the temperature, we've already gone up a couple of degrees. If we stood here for a while, we would probably see it climb even more than that. You might not like the results of your full fuse or your tack fuse, and you might want to enter your own. So I'm going to show you how to do that one. So again, when I stopped it, it came back to the regular screen. This is kind of like the home screen. There's the fire button, which I'm going to do that. And then down, we're going to use this button here that says custom on it. I get to put this one in, so let's just name it. So then we're going to move on to the next thing. So it says save, right? And then now it's going to, what's, again, really nice about these controllers is it's just going to walk you through the information. So what information the controller wants has to do with a firing schedule. And if you're familiar with firing schedules, or maybe you're not, they consist of what's called segments. And a segment consists of 3 things. The first thing is the speed. How fast do we want to go? That's often referred to as ramp or rate. In this situation, they're calling it ramp. I can tell you different controllers sometimes use the word rate to describe that. Almost always in degrees per hour. So what's really nice is just asking me how fast do I want to go. It defaults to 100. I'm going to go a little faster than that. So I'm going to go 300 degrees an hour here. And then now to get to the next screen, right, I use the arrow, takes me to the next one. Again, it says temperature here. So I just have to enter a temperature. For me, I like to stop at 1,000 degrees. So we're going to stop here at 1,000 and then move on to another one. and then hold time. And what's important to remember, this is in hours and minutes. So I'm just going to put in, I only need, this little kiln only needs about 10 minutes, so let me just put 10 in there. You can see I'm on the right side of that colon, so that means 10 minutes, and then move on. Now I got one segment in there. So you can find this Evenheat Kiln with the Icon controller or any other kiln related stuff at our website at delphiglass.com. And if you have any questions about this or really anything else to do with glass or fusing, I mean, just reach out to us. You can always call us at 1-800-248-2048, or you can reach us at Facebook at delphiglass.com.